September 1943. A remote Pacific airfield, shrouded in the humid, oppressive air of the jungle. A Japanese engineer, his uniform stained with the grime of travel and his hands already smudged with grease, stared with a mixture of awe and apprehension at the sleek, alien lines of a captured P-51 Mustang. This was no ordinary aircraft. It was a symbol of a rapidly shifting war, a machine of unparalleled performance that had fallen into enemy hands. He had just 2 hours to unlock its most critical secrets, to understand the engineering marvel that threatened to turn the tide of the war decisively against his nation. The fate of countless Japanese pilots, the strategic direction of future air battles, and perhaps the very destiny of an empire, rested precariously on his desperate, hurried analysis. To understand how this pivotal moment came to pass, we must first journey back to the initial stages of the Pacific War. In its early days, the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service and the Imperial Japanese Army Air Force had achieved remarkable aerial dominance. Their Mitsubishi A6M-0 fighter, with its exceptional maneuverability and long range, proved to be a formidable adversary, often outclassing many of the early Allied aircraft it encountered. Japanese pilots, highly trained and battle-hardened, swept through the skies of Southeast Asia and the Pacific with devastating efficiency, establishing air superiority that seemed almost unchallengeable. However, this initial advantage, built on surprise and a technological edge, was inherently fragile. As the conflict intensified and the vast industrial might of the United States began to mobilize, the technological gap that once favored Japan started to close, and then, with alarming speed, began to widen in the Allies' favor. By 1943, the strategic landscape of the Pacific had undergone a dramatic transformation. The United States, leveraging its immense manufacturing capabilities, was consistently introducing newer, more advanced aircraft designs that directly countered the strengths of Japanese fighters. The P-38 Lightning, with its twin engines and heavy armament, and the F-4U Corsair, a rugged and powerful carrier-based fighter, were already challenging Japanese supremacy in the skies. These aircraft brought increased speed, greater durability, and superior firepower to the fight. But even as these formidable machines became more common, intelligence reports began to circulate about an even more advanced American fighter, one that promised to redefine the very parameters of aerial combat, the North American P-51 Mustang. Its unprecedented combination of raw speed, extraordinary operational range, and devastating firepower signaled a dangerous and potentially decisive new phase for the Imperial Japanese Air Force, a threat that demanded immediate and thorough understanding. The specific situation that culminated in this desperate 2-hour analysis was a rare and unexpected stroke of fortune for the Japanese, likely born from a combination of Allied operational misfortune or unforeseen mechanical failure. A P-51 Mustang, almost certainly on a critical long-range reconnaissance mission or providing distant escort for bombers, had been forced down deep behind enemy lines. The exact cause remained unclear, perhaps a catastrophic engine malfunction, a critical navigation error leading to fuel exhaustion, or severe battle damage sustained in a distant engagement. Whatever the reason, the aircraft had made an emergency landing on a remote Japanese-controlled island, far from Allied recovery efforts. Crucially, despite the forced landing, the aircraft was largely intact, presenting an intelligence prize of immeasurable value to the Japanese. For many months, fragmented reports had filtered through Japanese intelligence channels, describing a new American fighter possessing exceptional speed and an astonishing operational radius, but concrete technical details remained elusive. Now a complete physical specimen lay before them, a tangible representation of the growing Allied technological superiority. The Japanese High Command, recognizing the immense strategic intelligence value of this find, immediately dispatched their most capable aviation engineers and top-tier intelligence officers to the crash site. The urgency of their mission was paramount. It was understood that the Allies would undoubtedly launch a concerted effort to locate and destroy the downed aircraft to prevent its secrets from falling into enemy hands. Time was not merely a constraint, it was a rapidly dwindling commodity. each passing minute increasing the risk of the P-51 being obliterated before its secrets could be extracted. Among the elite team of engineers dispatched to this critical site was Kenji Tanaka, a man whose entire professional life had been dedicated to the intricate and demanding dance of aerodynamics, propulsion, and aircraft design. Tanaka was not a combat pilot, nor did he possess the swagger of a military commander, but his profound understanding of aircraft mechanics and performance was perhaps unmatched by any other individual within the Imperial Japanese Air Force's technical branches. Born in 1908 in a quiet, traditional village, nestled outside the bustling industrial city of Nagoya, Tanaka had displayed an almost preternatural fascination with machinery from a very young age. While his peers engaged in traditional childhood games, Kenji meticulously crafted intricate paper airplanes, spending countless hours observing their flight patterns, their stability, and their aerodynamic properties with an almost obsessive focus. His family, though of modest means, recognized and nurtured his prodigious talent, making significant sacrifices to ensure he could pursue his intellectual passions. They sent him to the prestigious Imperial University of Tokyo, where he chose to specialize in aeronautical engineering, a field that was rapidly gaining strategic importance. He distinguished himself academically, graduating at the very top of his class. His groundbreaking thesis, which explored the complex challenges of high-altitude engine performance, immediately garnered him significant recognition within Japan's nascent aviation industry, marking him as a rising star. Tanaka's professional origin and intellectual formation were deeply rooted in a profound sense of national duty and an unyielding, almost spiritual belief in the inherent ingenuity and capability of Japanese engineering. Following his graduation, he joined Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, one of Japan's leading industrial conglomerates, and quickly ascended through its highly competitive ranks. His early career was characterized by a relentless focus on improving the efficiency of aircraft engines and enhancing the structural integrity of naval aircraft. His contributions were instrumental in the development of several early carrier-borne fighters, which would later form the backbone of the Imperial Japanese Navy's air arm. Within the engineering community, Tanaka was widely respected for his meticulous attention to even the smallest design detail, his almost uncanny ability to diagnose complex mechanical issues with pinpoint accuracy, and his innovative, often unconventional approaches to solving challenging design problems. Unlike some of his more conservative colleagues, who preferred to focus solely on indigenous designs, Tanaka maintained an open and eager curiosity about foreign aircraft technology. He firmly believed that a thorough understanding of the enemy's technological strengths and design philosophies was not merely advantageous, but absolutely crucial for developing superior countermeasures and advancing Japan's own aviation capabilities. This intellectual curiosity led him to spend countless hours meticulously poring over captured Allied technical manuals and blueprints. He even undertook the arduous task of teaching himself rudimentary English, specifically to decipher the complex engineering specifications and design notes found in these documents. This extraordinary dedication and his unique ability to bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical application made him an invaluable asset to the Japanese war effort. A quiet, intellectual powerhouse operating within a military machine that was often driven by a fierce, almost spiritual warrior ethos. His extensive previous experiences had, in many ways, uniquely prepared him for moments of intense pressure and critical, rapid analysis. Years prior, he had been an integral part of the team responsible for reverse engineering a captured Soviet Polikarpov Ein-16 fighter in Manchuria. That project, though less urgent in its timeline, had yielded invaluable insights into Soviet aircraft design principles, particularly their robust construction and emphasis on firepower. Later, he spearheaded efforts to meticulously analyze early models of the American P-40 Warhawk and the British Spitfire, systematically gleaning crucial information regarding their armor protection, armament configurations, and engine technologies. These earlier experiences, however, had typically been conducted under far less stringent time constraints, allowing for a more methodical, unhurried, and exhaustive examination of each component. Through these analyses, Tanaka had developed an unparalleled understanding of both the strengths and inherent weaknesses of Japanese aircraft, having personally designed or overseen the development of many of their critical components. He was acutely aware that the Zero's legendary maneuverability, for instance, came at the significant cost of minimal pilot protection and structural vulnerability. This understanding fueled his recognition of the urgent and growing need for faster, more robust and better protected designs to effectively counter the increasingly powerful and resilient Allied machines. He had witnessed firsthand the devastating impact that superior enemy technology could inflict on Japanese forces, and the heavy weight of that knowledge, combined with a deep sense of responsibility, fueled his relentless pursuit of technological understanding and innovation. The transition to this specific high-stakes assignment was abrupt and without preamble. Tanaka was unceremoniously pulled from a crucial development project for a new, advanced interceptor, a project he had been leading with characteristic intensity. He was given only the barest, most essential details of his new mission and immediately flown, under conditions of extreme secrecy, to the remote Pacific island where the P-51 had been recovered. The message from the highest echelons of the Japanese command was delivered with chilling clarity and directness. Engineer Tanaka, you are to analyze this new American fighter. You must understand its capabilities. You must provide immediate, actionable intelligence. The 2-hour deadline was not presented as a mere suggestion or a flexible guideline. It was a stark, unyielding reality, brutally imposed by the imminent and credible threat of Allied air raids specifically designed to obliterate the downed aircraft and prevent its secrets from being compromised. Tanaka understood implicitly that this was not an opportunity for a full, comprehensive reverse engineering effort, which would typically take weeks or months. Instead, it was a desperate high-speed sprint, a race against the clock to extract only the most critical, most actionable intelligence possible. He was to serve as the eyes and the analytical mind of the entire Imperial Japanese Air Force, tasked with distilling the very essence of a formidable new enemy's technological prowess within a fleeting, unforgiving window of time. The dilemma confronting Engineer Tanaka was immense, almost paralyzing in its scope and the sheer impossibility of the task. He had been allotted a mere 120 minutes, an impossibly short duration, to conduct an initial yet comprehensive assessment of an aircraft that represented the absolute pinnacle of Allied aviation technology. This was simply not enough time to even begin the process of dismantling a single major component, let alone to fully comprehend the intricate interdependencies of its complex systems. The rules governing this impromptu high-pressure mission were dictated not by standard operating procedures, but by the relentless ticking of the clock and the ever-present menacing threat of the aircraft's imminent destruction. Tanaka understood that he needed to prioritize with absolute precision to identify the most critical design aspects of the P-51 that contributed to its legendary performance, and to relay that vital information back to Japanese command before the window of opportunity slammed shut. What specific engineering innovations made it so extraordinarily fast? How did it achieve such an astonishing operational range, far exceeding Japanese fighters? What were its inherent defensive strengths, and what was the true destructive potential of its offensive armament? These were the urgent, pressing questions that hammered relentlessly at his mind, each demanding an answer that he had precious little time to uncover. His pivotal moment of decision arrived with striking clarity the instant his eyes first fell upon the P-51. It was larger and more imposing than he had anticipated from intelligence sketches, its sleek, almost futuristic laminar flow wing design immediately catching his highly trained expert eye. He knew instantly that this represented a radical and significant departure from conventional wing profiles, a fundamental aerodynamic innovation that was undoubtedly a key contributor to its exceptional speed. With the clock already ticking, he made a rapid, decisive choice to focus his limited time on 3 primary interconnected areas: the aircraft's engine, its revolutionary wing design, and its overall structural integrity, which included a quick assessment of its armament and protective armor. He resolved to conduct a rapid yet thorough visual and tactile inspection, relying heavily on his decades of accumulated experience and intuitive engineering sense to infer the underlying design philosophies and predict its performance characteristics. He quickly instructed his small team of accompanying technicians to prepare only the most basic tools, emphatically stressing that any deep disassembly was absolutely out of the question. Every single second was precious, and a systematic, albeit necessarily superficial examination was the only viable path to extracting meaningful intelligence. He took a deep, steadying breath, the thick, humid Pacific air filling his lungs, and with a renewed surge of determination began his frantic, high-stakes race against the relentless march of time. The ensuing action was a blur of intense, hyper-focused activity. Tanaka moved with a practiced, almost surgical efficiency, his keen eyes meticulously scanning every rivet, every panel line, every exposed component of the captured aircraft. He began by methodically circling the P-51, taking in its impressive overall size and its remarkably clean, aerodynamically refined profile. The aircraft's long, slender fuselage and the distinctive, almost elegant radiator scoop positioned beneath the tail were immediate points of intense interest, hinting at advanced cooling systems. He quickly identified the engine as a Packard-built Rolls-Royce Merlin, a formidable and highly respected power plant that he was already familiar with from fragmented intelligence reports. He then peered intently into the cockpit, noting the advanced array of instrumentation, the surprisingly comfortable and ergonomic seating, and the revolutionary clear bubble canopy that offered the pilot unparalleled 360-degree visibility, a stark contrast to the more restrictive canopies of Japanese fighters. He ran his hand along the leading edge of the wing, feeling its remarkably smooth, unbroken surface, which immediately confirmed his suspicions about its laminar flow design. This, he knew with certainty, was a major contributing factor to its exceptional high-speed performance, significantly reducing drag compared to the thicker, more conventional wing designs prevalent in Japanese aircraft. He then moved to the armament, carefully counting the 6 powerful 50-caliber machine guns, 3 mounted in each wing, a devastating array of firepower that far exceeded the typical armament of Japanese fighters. He noted the presence of heavy armor plating strategically placed around the cockpit and engine, a striking contrast to the lightly protected, weight-saving designs of Japanese aircraft. Finally, he meticulously checked the fuel tanks, carefully estimating their impressive capacity, and immediately understanding how such a large fuel load contributed to the Mustang's extraordinary operational range. His mind raced, rapidly connecting his observations, drawing logical conclusions and formulating hypotheses about the aircraft's combat characteristics and strategic implications. He scribbled notes furiously on a small worn pad, sketching rough diagrams and dictating his critical observations to his assistant with urgent precision. The distant, ominous roar of aircraft engines, possibly Allied search planes or bombers approaching to destroy the evidence, served as a constant, chilling reminder of his rapidly expiring deadline, adding another layer of desperate urgency to his task. The immediate result of Engineer Tanaka's frantic 2-hour analysis was a preliminary intelligence report, compiled with haste but packed with critical, actionable observations. He understood that he could not, within such a limited time frame, fully reverse engineer the complex Merlin engine or replicate the revolutionary laminar flow wing. However, he could definitively confirm the P-51's superior speed, its astonishing operational range, and its formidable armament. He highlighted the laminar flow wing and the powerful Packard-built Merlin engine as the primary drivers of its exceptional performance. Crucially, he also stressed the aircraft's robust construction and heavy defensive armament, indicating a significant shift in Allied design philosophy towards pilot survivability and sustained combat effectiveness. This initial report, though necessarily incomplete, provided the Japanese High Command with their first concrete, verifiable understanding of the P-51's true capabilities, confirming their worst fears about the new American fighter. It was a snapshot, a desperate, fleeting glimpse into the future of aerial warfare, delivered just moments before Allied bombers arrived to obliterate the captured aircraft, leaving nothing but scorched earth and twisted metal in their wake. The repercussions of Engineer Tanaka's rapid yet insightful assessment reverberated throughout the Imperial Japanese Air Force, though they could not in the short term immediately stem the overwhelming tide of Allied technological superiority. His preliminary report unequivocally confirmed the P-51's status as a top-tier threat, a formidable adversary that demanded a fundamental re-evaluation of Japanese aerial tactics and an accelerated push in their own aircraft development programs. While it was impossible to develop an immediate countermeasure based solely on a 2-hour inspection, the intelligence provided a much clearer, albeit grim, picture of the immense challenge that lay ahead. Japanese pilots, who had previously relied on the Zero's agility, were now briefed on the Mustang's formidable strengths. They were advised to meticulously avoid head-on engagements where the P-51's speed and heavy armament would be decisive. Instead, they were instructed to attempt to exploit any perceived less agile characteristics at lower speeds, if such opportunities presented themselves. However, the P-51, particularly those equipped with the powerful Merlin engine, continued to prove an exceptionally formidable adversary. Its extraordinary long range allowed it to escort Allied bombers deep into Japanese territory, providing protection that significantly reduced bomber losses and enabled sustained, devastating air campaigns. Its superior speed and devastating firepower made it a deadly opponent in dogfights, often outmatching even the most skilled Japanese pilots. The technological gap, already significant and growing, only continued to widen, despite the desperate and tireless efforts of dedicated engineers like Tanaka. The historical impact of this relentless technological race, epitomized by the P-51 Mustang, was profound and far-reaching. The P-51, often hailed as one of the most effective and iconic fighter aircraft of World War II, played an absolutely decisive role in achieving and maintaining Allied air superiority. While its contributions were particularly renowned in the European theater, where it escorted bombers over Germany, its presence and effectiveness in the Pacific theater grew steadily, becoming increasingly crucial. Its unparalleled ability to escort bombers all the way to their targets dramatically reduced the attrition rates of bomber crews and aircraft, thereby enabling sustained and devastating air campaigns against enemy industrial and military infrastructure. For the Japanese, the P-51 represented the relentless and seemingly inexhaustible industrial and technological might of the United States, a challenge they struggled desperately to match, often with limited resources and an increasingly strained industrial base. The desperate attempt to analyze the captured Mustang underscored the critical importance of intelligence gathering, rapid technological adaptation, and continuous innovation in the unforgiving arena of modern warfare. It stood as a powerful testament to the ingenuity of engineers on both sides, constantly pushing the boundaries of aeronautical engineering and the art of aerial combat. This single event highlighted that victory in modern conflict was not solely determined by courage or tactical brilliance, but increasingly by the ability to innovate, adapt, and outproduce the enemy. Engineer Kenji Tanaka, despite the overwhelming odds, continued his dedicated work throughout the remainder of the war. He contributed significantly to various Japanese aircraft development projects, always striving with unwavering determination to bridge the ever-widening technological chasm. His dedication to his nation and his craft remained absolute, even as the tide of war turned irrevocably against Japan and the prospects for victory dimmed. Following Japan's surrender and the subsequent dismantling of its military aviation industry, Tanaka gracefully transitioned his formidable talents to civilian aerospace engineering. In this new capacity, he played a crucial, albeit often unacknowledged, role in Japan's post-war reconstruction efforts and its remarkable eventual re-emergence as a global leader in technological innovation. He passed away peacefully in 1978, a quiet, unassuming figure whose frantic, high-stakes 2 hours with a captured P-51 Mustang remained a poignant, largely untold chapter of his remarkable and impactful career. The P-51 Mustang, meanwhile, firmly cemented its enduring legacy as an icon of Allied air power, a powerful symbol of technological innovation, strategic reach, and decisive victory in the skies of World War II. This is the true legacy of pivotal moments like these, often hidden within the grand narratives of war. It is not merely about the machines themselves, however revolutionary they may be, but about the profound human intellect, unwavering determination, and sheer ingenuity that drives their creation and their understanding. Even in the darkest and most desperate times, under immense and crushing pressure, individuals like Engineer Kenji Tanaka strove not only to understand, but to adapt, to innovate, and to protect their nations with every fiber of their being. His frantic 2 hours spent meticulously examining the captured P-51 Mustang, though ultimately unable to reverse the inexorable tide of the war, stand as a powerful and enduring reminder that true strength lies not in brute force alone, but in the relentless pursuit of knowledge, the courage to face overwhelming odds with intellectual rigor, and the unwavering spirit to confront the future, one intricate detail, one complex problem, one desperate analysis at a time.